This is a video review for Transformers Titans Return Hot Rod, and I'm doing this video for one reason and one reason alone. I'm planning on getting the Power of the Prime's Leader Class Hot Rod that transforms into Rodimus Prime. The Hot Rod is a deluxe class, and this is a deluxe class. So I got this figure, that way when I have the Leader Class in hand, the deluxe version that turns into a leader class in hand, I can compare them side by side and then show you basically how they're different before I turn Hot Rod into Rodimus. Honestly, I was kind of going back and forth on buying this figure. I think it's honestly a pretty good figure, but I've never really been too big on Hot Rod. Um, I grew up in a time where Hot Rod was not the speedy red-yellow Autobot. That was Hot Shot, who was kind of a combination of Hot Rod and Bumblebee, and then Transformers Energon screwed it all up by having Hot Shot and Rodimus be the different characters. It was weird. Anyway, so here is Hot Rod with his Titan Master Fire Drive. You can see he's got two guns that are going to form basically a little chair for Fire Drive to sit in. He's got some pretty nice molding right off the bat. They even reference the Titan Master legs by having them be like little antennas on the side of his helmet. Flipping it around, you see kind of standard back. He turns into kind of the standard sports car we associate with Hot Rod. And his bio, I know it can be a little hard to read there, says, with Decepticons rising, the Autobots power up with Titan Master partners to stop them. Fire Drive gives Hot Rod an electrostatic fire blast that disables the systems of enemy targets it hits. Which is pretty cool. It basically turns Hot Rods, I'm assuming either laser rifles or flamethrowers, into basically like an EMP flamethrower. That's kind of cool. So here's Fire Drive. He has basically a really boring mold, and it's all in silver. He does fold up in the standard, like, one step. Really, it's more like 2 or 3 steps in order to turn into Hot Rod's head, and it is a very nice looking head. I know you can't see the detail as well because my camera's crap and doesn't focus, but yeah, I mean it looks it's a very Hot Rod-esque head. And as you maybe just saw, my figure has issues with the feet traction, so his feet sometimes slide out from under him. But just like all Titan Masters, head plugs in where it belongs. And that's Hot Rod. Honestly, he looks pretty good, though I will admit his limbs are a little gangly. They definitely look more proportional in the artwork. This version of him, his legs and arms are a little longer than I expected. And he comes with 2 weapons. He comes with the 2 laser rifle flamethrower things that I mentioned before. That can be held in his hands, or they can also be combined together. They can attach by like little mini clips together to form basically a little like pod racer for Fire Drive to sit in, and it looks like it attaches using a kind of a pin to the top of the vehicle. This can be kind of cool as like a mini turret, but if you try to hold it in his hand like that, you'll have just a really awkward looking double barrel gun. But it does kind of, you have to kind of break it to pop it out, to pop it apart. It doesn't necessarily specify which gun goes in which hand, but I kind of like having the cavity for the Titan Master on the inside, because then it has the fin going on the outside, so it gives him kind of that kind of the aerodynamic sports car look. I'll admit that having the chrome tubing on his arms and the back of his legs is really cool. I do like that. And it looks like based on the photos that the engine compartment here is supposed to come out like an Action Master. I would assume for the Power of the Primes figure it does, and that's where you can put the Matrix of Leadership. Um, Similar to the video that I put up for Drift, he has very loose hips. They're on a ball joint. They're very loose hips, and then his knees are kind of just they're average, but the feet have no real friction on them. So his loose hips make him do the splits a lot. Say overall, not a great figure for the quality control in the legs, but I mean it's a very nice looking figure. He also, like I kind of hinted at before, comes with a card just like all Titans Returns, or I guess all the current generation's characters do. Very nice looking artwork. You switch it around, it shows his stats with Fire Drive kind of adding on. He's kind of a jack of all trades. He's got 10 in Strength, 10 in Intelligence, 10 in Fire Blast, and 9 in Speed. And then adding on Fire Drive gives him 5 Fire Blast, making him up to 15. Based on the bio on the back of his box, that makes perfect sense. Alright, here is Hot Rod in vehicle mode, and it's a very nice looking kind of muscle car. Wheels do roll fairly well and really kind of cool enough. The back wheels are kind of hidden behind this this piping, and the piping from the arms connects by plugging into the piping from the legs. That's really neat. Love the giant spoiler. It's very, very Rodimus-y, very hot roddy. Just overall a very, very nice car mode, and I love the Autobot symbol right there in the front. And as I said before, the engine piece doesn't come out. However, like I predicted, the guns can plug together to connect to, one sec. The guns can connect together and they plug in to the engine compartment like that to form a little sled kind of thing for your Titan Masters. Or if you would rather not, you can always just put him in the canopy. You can just lift up this canopy and plug him in there. He has actually quite a bit of a chest cavity from Hot Rod. And of course, if you want, you can plug that on the front. Or another option, if you don't want the giant turret on the front of your car, is you can take apart the guns and plug them into the little peg holes on the side of the car. I don't remember which side is the top, but I believe the side with the fin that I was mentioning, the ones that plug into the chest, or not necessarily the chest, but the engine piece, are the ones that go up. So you can have him like this too, if you want to have a really weird looking James Bond car. Overall, not a terrible way to store the guns, but I would have preferred that they be stored up on the back or something. Speaking of which, there are 2 Titan Master pegs here and here on the back, so it wouldn't have been too difficult, I guess, to put them there, especially considering this piece here is a shell. It's hollow. They could have just put 2 slits in it to plug them in. They didn't even need to mold it. One interesting thing that I noticed, at least when transforming it, is that this chest piece right here has a fair amount of molding, which is, and the reason that's interesting is because this whole panel right here, this folds in, and then this folds over, creating the chest plate, which means that piece here is only ever seen during transformation, and if you look on the bottom of the car during vehicle mode. And that makes me think that for the Rodimus, the Hot Rod to Rodimus figure, that they may remold this figure into the Rodimus, and then that's where the Matrix will plug into, which is kind of an interesting idea. I like that idea, and I have a feeling they're going to make the spoiler smaller, because you can definitely tell that they could make it smaller. it connects to the panel here, and then it plugs in on the sides, but they could easily make it smaller for the combo, because it's going to have a trailer that attaches over. Overall, we got some nice engine pieces here. We have an exhaust, which actually looks like a 5mm peg. You can try to plug weapons in, but it just splits the legs, so unfortunately it doesn't have enough friction to do that. For comparison, here is Hot Rod next to a figure I just reviewed, Deluxe Class Drift from the last night, and another Deluxe Class size, the Warrior Class from Robots in Disguise. You can see that Strong Arm's a little bit bigger, but remember that Strong Arm is, for the most part, is a hollow shell. So yeah, they're about the same size. So definitely the three lines from 2016, 2017 all scale well together. We have The Last Night scaling well with other deluxes. We have Robots in Disguise scaling well with the deluxes. I'd say overall this is a really nice figure. I think I would display it in vehicle mode rather than the robot mode, just because the issue I have with the legs. But again, you're going to see this figure again when I review the Leader Class Hot Rod transformation into Rodimus Prime. So look forward to seeing that once Power of the Primes comes out, or at least once it has a wider release than just Arizona targets. So like I mentioned before in the vehicle mode, all that molding right there gets hidden when you fold down the chest plate. So either, and you can't have the robot mode head in unless you have that chest plate down. Because you see I try to lift it up and it pushes the head back. So that's as far up as it can go. I really do think that they will be putting, they'll be remolding that for the Power of the Primes figure. But yeah, there we go. That's Hot Rod. I think he is worth getting if you like the character, or if you want to be able to have a comparison between this version and the Power of the Primes version, like I'm doing. But I would say overall it's probably about an average figure, though the quality control on my figure's hips is a little disappointing. But yeah, kind of average for a Carbot. For comparison, since I forgot earlier, here he is with Robots in Disguise Bumblebee and The Last Night Crosshairs. And you can see that he's about he's about a head taller than Bumblebee, about a head taller than Crosshairs. That's just comparing where their heads line up. Here, I'll even overlap them a little bit. You can see, there we go. Yep, see? The top of Bumblebee goes up to the top of the chest plate. So that kind of goes with the lankiness I mentioned before, that Hot Rod has very long limbs, and so that makes him fairly tall for a deluxe class, at least by comparison to most deluxe classes. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And until next time, I've been MetaGrossFreak. And this has been a video. See you later. Bye.